Hi, it's Mr. Carter here, and we're doing another video for our GCSE ICT revision. So I just want to go over some advantages and disadvantages that come up in exam questions in GCSE ICT, because it's always useful to know and understand about advantages. If you think of anything, single thing, from Bluetooth to the payment methods to online shopping, there are always advantages and disadvantages of anything. So when you're doing a revision, you need to think about, okay, what's the advantages of wired, what's the advantage of Bluetooth, what's the advantages of Wi-Fi, what wired, what are disadvantages of all those. So it's always really important to do that. Also, you should be getting to the stage now where you're starting to think about revision for your exam in May, and really we want to be the pictures down the bottom here, which is the revising properly, doing the exam properly, and getting the grade that you want. Is that going to be you on results day, okay, or is it going to be you making that phone call a bit embarrassed, phoning home, or what? We don't want you to be disappointed. It's up to you. So you've got some sheets that relate to each one of the questions. So this one is from question 1, okay, and the question is, what are the advantages to a business of personal digital devices? What are the advantages to a business of personal digital devices? Okay, now if you need to pause this, pause it and have a think. We're going to do the advantages and then the disadvantages, so pause it now. The advantages of having digital devices. So personal digital devices, what are they? They are everything from digital camcorders through to digital cameras, MP3 players, smartphones, laptops, tablets. So you're in a business, why would they have them? What advantage is it of a business, any type of business, having those types of devices? Well, it allows staff to communicate on the move or at home. So if you're Bob the plumber working for a company and you've got a digital device, you can communicate on the move. Or say you're working from home, you can have your laptop that you are connected to the office or whatever. You can also run business applications on devices, so whether that's Microsoft Office or Outlook or whatever, and you can use those on the move or out the office to communicate and run business applications. It may be that you get those tablets that delivery drivers have, where you've got to sign for things. They've got actually software that synchronizes with the head office. So the head office have given them software so that when they sign it or update it or whatever, it automatically synchronizes with the base. So the base company and the managers know what's going on with their deliveries. Okay, and loads of different other applications from all industries. Also, some GPS-enabled devices can help drivers or staff go into meetings and locations. So things like sat-nav as well. Those are personal digital devices that help you find places, go to meeting quicker. There's loads of other ones. There's loads of other advantages of digital devices. I could have listed about 20. Okay, disadvantages. Okay, have a think about that. What are the disadvantages of personal digital devices to a company? Have a think about that one. Well, disadvantages are they can be expensive to upgrade and maintain. So say pretend you, set a company up and you buy everyone 100 smartphones, and this does happen. I've seen this in business. 100 smartphones, 100 laptops, and 100, sat navs for vans, for salespeople, for managers to go out. Okay, what happens in 2 or 3 years' time when these things need to be upgraded? What if people drop them? What if they get cracked and whatever? So it's actually quite expensive to upgrade these, and you can get contracts as well, which can be actually really, really expensive to upgrade. And when you then think about, well, when you need a whole series of laptops, it can be expensive. Like all the staff at John Gaunt this year have got new laptops. So my old laptop's gone, and they bought new laptops because the other ones were past their sell-by date. So it can be expensive. Also, devices can be used for non-business activities, okay, like gaming, searching personal sites, or when on holiday, and whether that's good productivity from the staff. I mean, I don't know. Also, if you lose them, so you maybe got these devices that do, particular applications, or you've got data and you're synchronizing with Office 365 and all this good stuff. What if it's stolen or it's lost? You could cause security issues. So there are advantages and disadvantages of digital devices. On from question 2 is that next one is, what are the advantages of online marketing techniques for a business? So what are the advantages of online marketing techniques for a business? Okay, have a think about that. Okay, some of the advantages will be that doing everything through online marketing is cheaper, it's free than traditional forms of marketing. Okay, so sending out an email, 1,000 emails opposed to 1,000 letters, it's going to be cheaper because, majority of email packages are free. There's no cost. There's a little bit of cost on the internet usage, which is very, very minor. But, in terms of letters, stamps, the time, labels, printed material, it's a lot cheaper. Also, you can reach a global audience fast. So literally, I can send an email out to a customer base, and that can be there within seconds. So I can email, Argentina, Sydney in Australia, Washington in America, and Paris. Send the same email, and within a matter of seconds, that email's there. That information is there and being marketed. So it's a lot quicker. Also, if you've got good marketing materials, or you do things on particular websites, they can go viral. Completely free advertising, just going completely viral, and that means it can hit millions and millions of people globally. And it's quite easy to track responses as well. So if you send out an email to a link, to a product, you can actually track who's clicked on the link and where they went and so on. So it's quite easy to track what's gone on. In terms of some of the disadvantages, there are disadvantages to marketing techniques. Have a think about that for a second. The main disadvantage is that consumers can get tired of over marketing. I get hundreds and hundreds of emails about products, never read them, just delete them, put them in my junk mail, block them. So it can, it's not a great way of continually targeting consumers because they get really bored of it or annoyed. Also, spyware, virus, and spam programs can block adverts and emails. So people get fed up of pop-ups or emails with certain keywords in them, and the company might waste their time sending all this because actually the consumers are blocking it or stopping it coming through, or that people might think it's a virus or whatever. Disadvantage, there are other disadvantages, but also you need technical expertise to create professional campaigns, websites, blogs, videos. It can be really, really expensive to it can be really, you need a lot of technical expertise and expense to do this. Although you can get stuff cheaply out, the really good stuff that you would probably click on and watch a video, it's probably quite well produced and directed. So from question 3, what are the advantages of storing what? And I put X there because it could be anything. The question might be photos, data, music, blah 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 blah, whatever. They're pretty much the same. So have a think about that one there. What are the advantages of storing something online? Well, advantages, there are quite a few advantages. Available anywhere in the world with internet. As long as you've got internet, you can get your data, whether I'm here in Trowbridge, or whether I travel down the road or travel abroad. As long as I've got internet connection, I can get that. So it's really flexible. Also, cost, you can get free storage. You can get like 500 gigabytes free, with Dropbox, and there's no cost of having to buy something. Also, it's quite easy to automate and sync and save. So for like Dropbox, you can just drag a file, or like OneDrive, and it can sync across multiple folders. So you have your phone, you drop something on your laptop into a folder, your phone's got access to it. Other people might have access to it as well. Point 4, when data is online, it can be easily shared. So you can share folders, you can share OneDrive folders quite easily. It's quite easy to collaborate and communicate that way. There are disadvantages. Have a think about those. What are disadvantages of storing something online? Okay, use your common sense here. Okay. Some of the disadvantages are obviously you haven't got internet, you've got no access, which is a bit of a pain, isn't it? So that's a major flaw. Also, your data, whatever files it is, or work, or projects, or documents on someone else's system. And the question is, how secure is it? Well, you think it's secure, but is it? Have they had a data breach? Do you know about it? Also, someone might guess your username and password and get access to your data, your private files, your work, your business files, and so on. And there's no really other security apart from that, which can be a bit worrying. Also, if you need storage, sometimes you have to pay for more storage. Like you're trying to upload a document that says you've reached your limit. You've got to buy more there on the spot. And also, some providers might have a patchy service as well, so it might not be a very good service. Another classic question is, what are the advantages of open source software to an organization? So what are the advantages of open source software to an organization? Have a think about that one. Okay, well the answer is that, as we know, open source software is free to use and share, which is really great. There's no licensing costs, and as it says in point 3, there's no license or copyright issues for larger companies. So if we need to roll it out, there's no complex licensing agreements. We can share it about, we can fiddle around with it, you can change the source code to your requirements, build it how you want, change it how you want. And if there's a bug, you can fix it. You don't have to wait for a larger company to do that. So that's the advantages over things like proprietary software. And proprietary software is software that is made by manufacturers, and they keep it all completely closed. It's not free. You can't share it. And it has licensing agreements. So it's completely opposite to that. Disadvantages. Things like, I should probably give you some time to think. Disadvantages, have a think. Okay, they can be complex to use and learn. A lot of these software systems are not massively easy to use and learn. And also, if you've changed something so much, and you get a bug, it may take longer to fix it. It's your system, you change it how you want to, and the people are going to go, I'm not quite sure what you've done. It's a bit like getting a car from the garage new, completely changing it, upgrading it, changing the engines, the spoilers and all that sort of stuff. Something that goes wrong with it, and then you go down to the garage and say it doesn't work, and they say, well, hang on, you've made 23 different changes, this is going to take a hell of a long time to sort out, because we don't know what you've done to an off-the-shelf system. So that's a disadvantage. Also, there may be multiple versions of the same system causing confusion. I certainly know for Python, I was downloading, that's an open source software, Python and Linux. There's hundreds and hundreds of different versions, and it can be very confusing about which one to download. There's just not one for Windows 7 or whatever. There could be dozens. Also, you might not get support and training as well, because they're often so bespoke. Who's going to train you on it, because they don't know your system? So yes, it's good, there's lots of advantages, but disadvantages are these systems get changed and they get difficult to train on. Next classic one is, what are the advantages of wired connections versus wireless? Another classic one. So advantages of wired connections versus wireless. So wired connections, you get better control, because you're basically putting the cables into the computers that you want to use. It's permanent. If you have 30 computers, you have 30 cables connecting those computers to the switch or the server, whatever, and that's that. You're in complete control. Also, there's no possibility of outsiders hacking your wireless, because you have no wires. Okay, people can't well, there are some very, very high-tech solutions, but not mainstream hacking into wired solutions. Not really possible unless you're in the room and you get the network cable. Okay, speed much faster because it's using permanent wired fixed connection. It's much faster than wireless. There's no interference. Okay, there's no walls in the way. It's just straight to the server. Reliability, when it's installed, it's in, it works every day, and there's no atmospheric issues, or sometimes Wi-Fi can be interfered with other police signals as well, police radio signals, military signals, and the environment. Okay, so the advantages are it's really stable, quick, and secure. Disadvantages of wireless: expensive, because you've got to buy the cables, you've got put the network points, network cards, switches, and it all costs. Where wireless, you just basically stick in a box and broadcasting to anyone. It can be a trip hazard. Wireless can get in your way, which can be a bit of an issue. They can dangle down. There's health and safety issues. Also, it can be quite complicated. You need engineers to install cabling into roofs, under floors. You've got to have switches, and you've really got to plan your network. You need to really plan this rather than just broadcasting Wi-Fi across a certain area. And they also can take a device more. The problem with it wired is, well, what if you want to use it mobily? You can't drag a desktop computer meters with 5 or 10 meters of wire to the nearest connection. It's not very mobile wired connections. But again, for a lot of businesses, they don't want that. But one of the disadvantages is it's not particularly mobile because it's all fixed. Advantages and disadvantages. Well, advantages of an online service, SaaS. Do you remember what that stands for? Okay, something to do with software. So what are the advantages of online services? Have a think about that one. So software as a service, nothing to do with the SAS, it's SaaS, software as a service, is basically we're talking about software that is used online, like Word online or PowerPoint or Outlook online. So it's things where you open Office, where you use software online. So online software or software as a service is often cheaper than proprietary software that is installed on the computer. It doesn't require particular hardware, so you don't need that RAM, that processor, that version of Windows. As long as you've got a browser that's compatible, which is quite easy, off you go. You can use it, and Bob's your uncle. Bob might not be your uncle, but you know what I mean. It can be used on multiple devices, from smartphones, tablets, and laptops. So once you've got it on your laptop and you've signed in, you've got an account, you can log in on your smartphone, your tablet, which I do. It's really, really easy. So it's software as a service, flexible, don't need much fuss about it, and it's often cheaper. One of the downsides of software as a service, online software, is obviously you need the internet. Pretty obvious there. If you don't have it, you can't have it. Slower using the internet rather than wired. So if you're using a laptop that's connecting in the internet via wireless, it can be slower, so you're getting uptime and downtime as well. Also, you don't have control on the security because it's obviously hosted on someone's website. So do you like the fact that your email system is on another company's property, that you lose control of that data? Okay, and there's a whole potential security risk. What are people looking at? Are the employees checked? Do we trust them? Also, you find that with software as a service, it has less functionality. You might not need all that functionality, but sometimes think, it'd be good to do that. And you think, that's not available. That's a bit annoying. So it can be a bit annoying, especially if you're power users of a software. Also, a bit on the other point earlier, it is speed can be slower and you're completely dependent on the internet. And because you don't need the internet to run Word on your computer, you can just run it on the computer with no connection of any sort. And obviously your data is saved locally to the PC, so that's an advantage of having proprietary software that's saved locally. So with either proprietary or software, there's always advantages and disadvantages. You can flip them either way. Okay, question 4. What are another standard one? What are the advantages of online shopping? This might come on different forms and formats. It might be what are the advantages of shops, what are the advantages of online shopping, dressed in a particular question. But fundamentally, the advantages are, really, you can shop around and compare prices quickly online. So I can have 4 or 5 shops going in different tabs, and I can get search for the same product. I can compare things easily on compare websites. I can also check multiple reviews about the product, so I can get instant reviews as long as you can trust them. I can shop anytime, so it's great for shift workers. So if you're a nurse and you finish your shift at midnight, you can go home and do your shopping, your food shopping, you can do your clothes shopping and whatever. It's also faster and takes less time and petrol to look for goods. So you're at home in the comfort of your home, and you can just shop, do what you want. But obviously with everything there are some downsides, and the downsides are obviously you can't feel or touch the product on that online store. You can't pay cash for the item, so maybe some people don't have credit cards, they don't like using Visa debit cards or credit cards, so they pay cash. You can't use cash online. You don't have a chance to barter or get a discount. So if you say, well, actually it's slightly damaged there, could you knock £10 off? You can't really do that online. Also, if you get something in a shop, the beauty is I'll have that one, pick it up and go home with it. Problem with the internet is you have to wait for it, and sometimes have to pay a bigger fee, and that can be a bit of a pain. Also, your bank details are stored out of your control. So if you're online shopping, your credit card details, your date of birth, your address, your buying habits, they're all stored out of your control. So that is some 7 questions about what are the advantages of online shopping, and 6 others as well. Hope that's been useful, and thanks for watching.